Why don't we go ahead and get started so that we can be respectful of everyone's time today. So thank you all so much for joining us today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Heather Cosgrove, and I am the SHRM Jacksonville 2020 President-elect. Thank you again. We are really excited about kicking off the second of our three-part series of Mind, Body, and Soul. And today you guys are in for a treat with our panel discussion. Today's topic, Fit Body, Fit Mind, what motivates you in times of uncertainty. So for those of you who don't know too much about SHRM Jacksonville, we are a 501c6 not-for-profit organization dedicated to the development and improvement of our members. We're proud to be involved in elevating the human resource profession by continuing to encourage membership, professional development, and certification. And our mission is to advance the human resource profession for the Northeast Florida business community. I want to thank all who donated to our 50/50 raffle in support of the SHRM Foundation. We raised $55 today. That's fantastic. Our winner will be announced at the end of the session, and this person is going to receive an Amazon gift card. For those of you who like to post on social media, please check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, and don't forget to use the hashtag SHRMJax. And I want to thank very much our sponsor today, Marks Gray. We wouldn't be able to put this on without you guys and the virtual capability that you're bringing to us today. So Giselle, thank you very much. Also want to thank our presenters, Kim Biehunik-Justiss, who is our wellness ambassador, and Keith Fairchild, who is our membership director. So now I want to kick everything over to Giselle and have her introduce herself and Marks Gray, and then I'm going to let Kim and Keith introduce themselves as well. So take it away. You guys are in for a treat today.
Thank you, Heather, and I do hope you got your beauty rest because I did in preparation for this presentation, and this feels really, really good. And I know Keith is going to tell me how to improve the use of my cucumbers. So next time you see me, hopefully I'll look even more refreshed. So welcome, everybody. I am thrilled to be able to put this together. And when we were talking about the series that SHRM was thinking of doing, and at this time when we have so many uncertainties, and we don't see each other as much as we used to, it is really phenomenal to be able to do this. So as if we were thinking about it, I kind of reached out to Kim and Keith, and they're going to talk about their backgrounds too. And I am just grateful that they said yes, that we're going to join into our little craziness here, but it's all good. And Heather and Natasha, you have done a phenomenal job to get us here, so thank you. And as some of you know, I am an attorney with Marks Gray. Just a little intro about the firm. Marks Gray is a century-old law firm with a young heart. Even though we're over 100 years old, we opened our doors in 1899 right here in Jacksonville, Florida, and we remain a Jacksonville, Florida firm. We have 21 energetic attorneys and an amazing staff. We're focused on seeing the business community and individuals. We have 29 areas of practice, from business transactions to litigation. We love and serve our community, our country. Our clients win, it's our win. And this has been true when Marks Gray opened its doors 100 years ago. And it is true today. You can find more about us, Marks Gray, on our website, marksgray.com. We love to hear from you, and I would love to reconnect with you all. I mean, we don't see each other physically, so please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I know many of you from the LinkedIn community, and SHRM. That's another way to stay connected. So that's the little background as to Marks Gray, and then I am just going to pass it on. I'm going to let Kim introduce herself first, and again, Kim, thank you for being here, and then Keith, and then I'll say a little bit more about us. Go ahead, Kim.
Great. Good afternoon, everybody. As Heather and Giselle said, my name is Kim Biehunik-Justiss. I currently sit on the SHRM Jacksonville board. My position this year is Wellness Ambassador, And really this is a partnership with HR Florida. So we got off to a strong start last year with our tobacco cessation program and introducing that at chapter meetings, and 2020 started strong, and we're in a little hiatus right now as everyone tries to figure out the new life that is during COVID-19. So there'll be more to come, and hopefully when we get to conference this year, we do plan to present, so I look forward to seeing all of you there. In my business life, I am an HR manager for a telecommunications company in Jacksonville called TrueNet Communications. And for all of you that work in companies that are considered essential personnel, it's definitely been a crazy time. Our company is considered essential because we make sure that things like this that happen, we provide support to all of the internet companies across the country. So Comcast, AT&T, Verizon. So we have been full force making sure that everyone's internet is working. In my personal life, I'm an avid runner and a dragon boater, and probably just like you, I like seeing everyone's faces and getting out and about. So definitely this has been a new and different world. So I look forward to sharing our thoughts and our experiences with you today.
Thanks, Kim. And by the way, so the waterways are open. Have you been able to get out on the water?
We have been doing OC1 practices, so it's an outrigger canoe for one, but dragon boats seat 20 people. You can't social.
Yeah, okay. Oh my God, I bet you're dying to be able to do that. That's gonna be awesome. Thanks. Keith.
Thanks, Giselle. Hi, everybody. I know many of you in SHRM from my role in SHRM as VP of Membership, and I've been a member of this chapter since 1988, but only recently gotten involved on the board level as I have gotten to the point where in my business I could devote more time to that kind of thing. And in my business life, I'm a partner in a firm, an executive search firm, and I've been doing search since 1976. So I've been through lots of times like this, meaning crises, natural disasters, recessions. So it's interesting, each one's slightly different, each one has some similarities. And this one, of course, the difference is the virtual world. So it's interesting to talk today about doing that. About 15 years ago, since my work is very sedentary, about 15 years ago, I got certified as a fitness instructor. I'm a personal trainer, a group fitness instructor, a spinning instructor, TRX, if you know what that is, the straps where you do suspend your weight, and BOSU, which is a balance trainer. And it's great fun. It's a tremendous thing for me to balance out my sedentary work. But for the first time in my lifetime, I've not been going to the gym for the last 6 weeks, and I've not been able to teach a class. So it's frustrating, and it affects your health mentally and physically. And so this conversation today is really pertinent for me as well as everybody else as to how do you stay healthy mentally and physically when you're constrained a bit and you can, not leaving home and certainly can't go to the gym.
Thank you so much, Keith. And again, to both of you, Kim and Keith, I knew your passion for a healthy mind and a healthy body. Keith, I've taken many of your spinning classes, as you know. Even I think we did one time, it was like a 12-hour thing, or who knows, like an insane amount of time. And he's awesome. I've taken the TRX class also, so I can't wait to be able to go back. And we'll talk about some of that today. How do we go back? For me, similarly to Kim and Keith, sports have been a part of my life, and in a way, just because I've realized that if I wanted to achieve as much as I wanted to achieve, I needed to not just be fit of mind, but fit of body. And truly, some of the stuff that I do that are physical, as many of you know, it's more of a mental game. Running a marathon, and I've done 20 of them or more, It's once you get to a certain mileage, it's beyond pain, physical. It's all about your mind and how do you get to the next step. I'm a two-time immigrant, Cuba to Canada, Canada to the United States, two-time professional career. I have a bachelor's degree in physical therapy and a JD, and I've been practicing business immigration law for over 15 years. And so I combine my personal experience with immigration with my law degree and my passion for helping clients achieve their goals. We focus on helping employers bring in and hire and retain foreign talent so that they can strengthen and diversify their already very strong US workforce. So we're sprinkling the foreign nationals. But all of that, and particularly at this time, requires a lot of balancing all the stress and the uncertainties with being able to be physically and mentally strong, and getting an awesome good night's sleep helps. And that is not easy. So Keith, I'm going to kick it off with you. So to stay healthy, happy, and engaged through these times, sleep is essential. Tell us what we can do. What do you do? And please tell me how can I make my cucumbers even better? So up to you.
Well, I'll leave the cucumbers till last because that's
okay.
Yeah, sleep is a great topic. You know, when we talked initially about this program about mind, body, and soul, and the body portion, really the first thing that we think about is exercise. But as I started thinking about what I wanted to share with people and what I'm trying to do in my own life to stay fit, I would say that there are a couple other things that don't necessarily come to mind immediately. One of them is sleep, and one of them is quiet. In terms of us being rested and energized and feeling healthy, I think movement and exercise is obviously critical, and it's something that's kind of simple, and we can talk about what you can be doing to move and to be active and to exercise even while you're limited. But something that we all really often forget is the quality of our sleep. And the other is, and this is a personal sensitivity of mine, and that's quiet. I find that if I don't have a quiet time every day, or if my surroundings are too consistently noisy, it wears on me. It takes my energy away. And an example of this for you is just the next time you can, go to a McDonald's and walk in and just sit down and turn your back to the counter and listen for a minute and tell me what you hear. And what you'll hear is the beeping of the French fry machine when it tells them that it's done. And it's incessant and it's miserable to listen to. And the people that work there don't even hear it.
Yeah, because
so if you're sequestered at home particularly with a lot of people, particularly with younger children, particularly with a big television and video games and other things, you can be immersed in kind of a soup of noise and not even realize it. And if you haven't figured out a way to control it and limit it, by the end of the day, it really does sap your energy. And it's really simple. It's just being aware of it. And we aren't aware of it. We live in a noisy society. So that would be the first thing I would suggest to everybody is just give some thought to your surroundings and how much noise there is. And that does affect your ability, your stress level to sleep. And I say the first thing about quality sleep is scheduling, because our bodies are governed by circadian rhythms. And if you've ever, I used to be on a plane every day. And oftentimes I would go from Los Angeles to Germany 4 or 5 times a month. And my body never adjusted. And it was, even though I was young, it was really difficult on me. And I didn't even realize it. So I read about it and learned how to manage those rhythms and how to time things so that I could better sleep. And if you don't sleep well, gosh, it's really tough to have enough energy and creativity and empathy and everything else that is required these days. So I'll stop there in just a moment. I'll just say that there's a term you can Google called sleep hygiene. I've had the unpleasant experience 3 times of doing what they call sleep studies, where you go into a clinic and you sleep and they stick electrodes all over you and they monitor the quality of your sleep. And so I've learned a lot about sleep hygiene. You can don't do the sleep studies like I did. Just get the book. Things you can do to enhance your sleep, such as keeping to a rhythm, a schedule, mechanical things like turn the temperature in your room lower when you want to sleep, no animals in the bedroom. That includes your spouse, if that applies to you. No animals in the bedroom just because they move around. No television in the bedroom. No discussions about, hey, honey, we need to talk 5 minutes before you're trying to go to sleep. No electronic devices, no screens. You know, some of it seems to be onerous, but if you do those things and it really increases your sleep, you'll be amazed at the way that it improves your mood, your attitude, and your energy.
Kim, I'm going to go to you. You know, when we talked about this, we talked about sleep, and you actually said, Sue, also we're seeing very few people, and when you're an extrovert, it's very difficult. This whole social distancing can be very difficult. So what are you doing to stay happy, engaged, active? What kind of routines have you created to keep you productive and engaged?
Absolutely. So yes, I'm sure as if we're all HR practitioners or work in the realm of HR, for the most part, we like people and we like people. I know we have those days where we want them all to go away, but for the most part, we like staying engaged. And as we were talking about this, part of our conversation, I'm married, my husband and I, we don't have any children in the house other than our dog. But he has had to go to work most days. So I'm in the house alone. And I realize how, yes, I have conference calls, and granted, we try to keep things light and fun for work. But when he gets home, I have no reason to be so tired. And yet I find myself so tired. And really where I'm more energized is spending time with people and understanding that as lovely as Zoom calls are, I much rather spend time with people in person. So even if your day is loaded with Zoom calls, find a way to do, if you're a Facebook Messenger has the most awesome, you can turn yourself into a pizza, you can be a glass of beer, you can be an alien. And what I'm finding is spending time with some of my girlfriends. We're in a book club together, and it's hard to, again, you sit around and have a glass of wine and everybody brings food. Well, now we're sitting at the screen with our glass of wine and talking about things and being goofy. And I realize that some people don't feel super great about being goofy, but when it comes to times like this, finding a way to have that release and to laugh is critical. And I find that even after I'm exhausted after the day, when really I don't have any reason to be that exhausted, I sit at my desk all day. It's really those conversations that I have after work, even if it's with people at work or spending time with people at work that we're not talking about work. Yes, we have to talk about work, it's work, but being able to have some of those connections that isn't just diving right into the business. Typically if you're working in an office, a lot of times you have some of that chit chat time. How's your family? What'd you do this weekend? What exciting things are you working on? Or I know it's kind of hard to talk about vacations right now because I'm supposed to be in Italy right now and I'm not. So, I mean, being able to still have some of those connections, because part of the other thing that we talked about is if you're not used to working from home, oftentimes we find ourselves worrying, do they think I'm busy enough? am I earning my keep?
Right.
And you feel like you have to be on. If you walk away from it, your little green Skype dot goes yellow, is everyone going to think you're slacking off? So it's really trying to find some of those pieces that are going to allow you to have that release. And Giselle mentioned routine. I admit that I am a creature of habit. I get up in the morning and I run right away and I start my day. And that's regardless of whether I work from home. When this first started happening, I'm like, well, I don't have to get up as early since I don't have to drive 30 miles to work. And realized that was a bad decision when suddenly, going back to Keith's point about sleep, my sleep schedule was off. Things were not working the right way. So even though I don't necessarily get up as early as I normally do when I commute, I don't sleep in an extra 2-3 hours. I give myself an extra 20 minutes and ease into the day. So that way, whether it's next week or next month or sometime from now, when we all have to go back to the office, it won't be such of a shock to my system when suddenly I have to get up, 2 hours earlier because I've been getting up at 9 and going to bed at midnight, when that's not the reality of my work life, when I have to be at work at 7 in the morning. So trying to find some of those, not boring routines, but things that will allow your body to not fall apart because you've changed so much so quickly. Think about when you come back from vacation and you go back to work that first day and you're like, where's the coffee? I'm not going to make it. And now we've had 6 to 8 weeks of it. So if you're thinking, well, shoot, guilty, start taking some of those little baby steps to go back to your norm. And that way it won't be as much of a shock when suddenly the switch is flipped and suddenly we're all going back to our offices.
I'm going to follow up on a few things. So I'm going to remind Kim, being goofy is actually part of this presentation. So I hope you're all in for that in a few minutes. But going to routines, and mine may be pretty boring, but I've always had routines, and now more than ever, because it's just kind of what keeps me going. And I have a morning routine and an evening routine, so I'm going to kind of share that with you, and welcome to, use some of it, all of it, whatever it is. But literally this morning, and what I've been doing for the last few days, I get up, I go to the bathroom, I weigh in, because weight, it's important to me, and I need to know whether I gained 5 pounds or lost 2. So that's part of what I do every day. I go to the kitchen, I start making my coffee, I have my water. While the coffee is brewing, I'm doing some stretching exercises, because I know after I'm done with that, I'm meditating. And actually that's something that my team, some of the members of my team do. And when I'm asking constantly, I'm asking them, what are you doing to stay healthy? Give me some tips, because I'm just taking it all in. There's 3 apps that I've used. So if any of you are into meditation or want to try it, Calm, Headspace, and now I'm using Insight Timer. So I use that in the morning, and then I review my plan for the day, and then I'm off to 45, 60 minutes of exercise, and that could be running. It used to be swimming when the pools were open, but cycling, whatever, walking, anything, yoga, stretching, blah, blah, blah. I come back, and then I review my things for the day and prepare for my team meeting starting at 9, and we have a Zoom meeting at 9:30 every day. So that's kind of the beginning of my day. The end of my day, I'm trying to 2 hours before I go to sleep. So say I'm going to sleep at 10 o'clock. So 2 hours before 8, that's my last meal. I try not to eat anything else after that, because if I have stuff in my stomach, it's just not, my sleep is not going to go well. So that's my last, and then I try to wind down from there. 8 to 9, I read, I finish the stuff that I have to do on the internet, and then I try to put the computer away, I know my staff knows that I respond to emails late sometimes, what I shouldn't do, and we're going to talk about that too at some point. But I start winding down. I try to go, I have a mile loop around my house that I put my headphones on, and I go for my walk, and that kind of allows me to settle And then I put the Einstein, another meditation that I have for the evening, and that's another 10 minutes. And that's kind of my evening routine. And I'm trying to use those two as my bookmarks kind of for the beginning and the end of the day. So if some of you are looking into some of that, like I said, help Calm, Headspace, and Insight Timer, they're really good little tools. So because the gyms are closed and the pools are closed and everything else is not out there that we used to go to. In fact, Ellen said to me the other day, she went to Walmart to buy some weights and there's none. So we were thinking, well, maybe people are actually really getting into the fitness thing. But I'm thinking that the people that were already into the fitness thing, now that they can't go to the gym, are going to Walmart and getting whatever it is. It's good to know that, we're still paying attention to our bodies. And so Keith, I'm going to bring it up to you because, again, when we go back to the gym, well, actually, let's kind of talk about what can we do now. So like what Kim said, when we all go back to the gym, I know it's not going to be the same. Even if I've kept up with some of the routines, it's going to be different. So what can we do, at least the baby steps that we're taking right now, just to keep some of our fitness so then we can actually go back to work, go back to the gym. We're not starting from zero.
Sure. Yeah, and that is something that we all can do, although I will preface this with a comment about a friend of mine, and it's about setting expectations. It's about the expectations we have for ourselves and for that other people have of us, and the stress that can impose on us. And I'll just tell you about one of my friends, and you tell me if you have one of these friends. He's homebound by COVID-19. Since the time that he's been staying at home, he's lost 40 pounds, got his six-pack back. He's learned French. He cleaned out his garage. He taught his kids algebra. He painted the house. He got a promotion at work for doubling his sales quota. He's, I think, 7 inches taller. So do you know about anybody like that they're just superstars and super performers? And of course, this is all in the virtual world. If you follow them on Facebook or Instagram, everything they touch turns to gold, and they've done everything is wonderful. And we used to have this thing called FOMO, fear of missing out, right? You heard that term?
Mm-hmm.
People are afraid they're not involved in everything that their friends are involved in. Well, I call this now the fear of being average, FOBA, that, it's okay. The first thing we have to do is let go of those unrealistic, really bogus expectations that, oh gosh, now that I've got this time to stay at home, I can, solve world hunger and, bring peace to the Middle East and everything else, and lose weight. And maybe it's best to let go of those unrealistic expectations. And that applies especially to exercise and fitness for all of us, I think. So if you forget those kinds of expectations, but you think just for a moment about, well, how can I stay healthy? Or how can I be incrementally healthy next week versus this week? I think those are very realistic, and you can do that from home. So as an example, a 2-liter bottle of Coke weighs half a pound.
I don't have to go to Walmart anymore.
A gallon jug of water weighs 6 pounds. So I'm sorry, the 2-liter weighs 3 pounds. So you can get things, everyday things from around your house that would give you the weight you would need to get healthy, to remain healthy, to get healthier. You don't need to lift a 300-pound dumbbell loaded up with plates in order to get healthier or to be active or to think about your range of motion and stretching. Those are the things that make us feel better. So you can use everyday objects like that. You can get inexpensive elastic bands. The most powerful fitness tool on the planet is a $20 jump rope. And so you can, if you have a few square feet, you can create a little gym. You can have a chair that you step up on and off. And in fact, you can Google, I wrote one, in fact, I published it through the JCA, the workout for the road warrior. You know, the road warrior is the person that we all know that travels every day on business, and they're stuck in a motel room every day, and they, you know, how do they stay active and fit? Well, I did a program on that topic at the gym for several months where I gave people a workout and we did it together, and then they took it with them. It was just a piece of paper. What can you do in a gym, in a hotel room, to stay fit? And you'd be amazed at the range of things you can do just moving your body and stretching your body that's safe and certainly still gives you enough movement and challenge that it affects your body. So that's like what I call phase one. And I don't know if you want to talk about this now, Giselle, we can get into it a little bit later, but in terms of what's going to happen once the gym's open, you know, I have a couple other thoughts there.
Okay.
You want to talk about that now, or do you want me to come
Yeah,
back?
sure. So let's give us some tips as to when we get, I mean, what is it going to be like? And then I'm going to go to Kim as we prepare to reopen, and, you know, some of our workplaces are open right now. There is a lot of, in fact, my husband called me this morning. He's like, you have to see this, Giselle. And there's this drones in Daytona Beach, and this one was Madrid, that the police was using them to detect body temperature in people that were walking around the street. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, our workplace is going to change as we come back to work. People are concerned. So Keith, let's talk about what do we expect when the gym's open? Kim, how do we prepare as HR professionals and, you know, to come back to work? So
Sure.
Keith.
Well, and I'm a part of several discussion groups of gym owners and instructors about what's happening and what we expect. And I think what we'll see in the gyms is that very soon gyms will open partially. And so the weight room will open, as an example, and the treadmills will open, and the recumbent bikes and that kind of thing. And people will be able to go in and use that equipment. And there'll be other, you know, staff very visibly going around and sanitizing the equipment. But as an example, you probably won't be able to use the locker room and the showers.
Huh.
So I hadn't thought about that. And I thought, okay, well, that is a limitation. If you go to work, if you go to the gym on the way to work expecting
Right.
to take a shower and change.
Right.
So those are the kinds of things to think about as the gyms open. When they open, there probably will not be any group fitness classes, no spinning, no Zumba, you know, no yoga, that kind of thing. That will happen, but when it does, as an example, in the spin room, there'll probably be half the bikes, or maybe a little less than half the bikes, in order to provide physical separation. And that's okay. I mean, that's not a big life-changing situation, except that it may mean that the classes fill up a lot quicker. And so you would want to know that and to plan that way. And it might change how your gym handles registration for classes, as an example. Some gyms it's walk up, other gyms you've got to sign up, other gyms you have to sign up 24 hours in advance. So those are some of the things that I think we're seeing. The most gyms today are at least temporarily putting on virtual classes to tide their members over. I suspect those will be expanded as we go. I think that will become a permanent fixture. More Peloton type classes available to people, and so that's good. It's it's different. It's a different experience, but it's quite a good one. So I think those are the first couple steps and phases. And the last thing I'll say about that is that at some point, if you are doing something now at home that's modest, and now the gyms open up, and you find you're not quite satisfied with what is open versus what is not open, then you might end up in what I call phase 2 at home, where you now spend money on equipment at home and get much more serious about having a home workout capability. You might go buy a Peloton bike or something like that. And the only thing I'll say about that is be careful. That's a great thing. All you want to ease into it though, because it's like the $1,000 treadmill that is your favorite clothes hanger you use it for. That's one thing, but if you're going to make a $4,000 bike your clothes hanger, you may want to think twice before you spend that money. Specifically, you can go to hotels that have Pelotons and try them out. Go for a long weekend to a hotel that has Peloton and enjoy the weekend, and then take those classes and see if it's something you think you want to spend money to do, so that you're not ending up spending a lot of money that sits there and is wasted.
And one of the things that you mentioned before at the beginning, Keith, and I mean, I had literally, I was ready to do a 70.3, so a half Ironman this weekend, and I've kept up as much as I could the training plan, but I'm very careful because our bodies are, want it or not, we are, the world has changed, and it's not just like the storm is coming and we know that it's going to end tomorrow. It's whatever we had 6 weeks ago we're never going back to that. It's going to be a new world, and whenever there's a lot of change, we have to be really careful to how far we push our bodies and what the expectations are. And Kim mentioned that earlier today. So I think the best thing throughout all of this is, lower the expectations. Don't expect that you're going to come out of this like Keith's example. As I was listening to that, I'm like, oh my God, tell me who this guy is. I want to meet this person. There's no, I'm not, it's like, but so that's just not realistic. So Kim, as we prepare to continue to reopen, what should we expect? What should we prepare to do to get back to work?
Sure. Before I dive into that, I am going to just echo Keith on a couple of things. In terms of home workouts, if you're someone that is saying, I've never done that before and I wouldn't even know where to start, even if you just Google body weight exercises, it'll walk you through squatting. It'll walk you through the dreaded burpees and things like that. But it will walk you through some things you can do at home that you don't even need any equipment for at all. And then if you get into that, there are so many free, let's lift weights, let's do that are free on YouTube as well, that you can at least dabble and check things out before you buy the $1 million weight set. And then to echo both of you, expectations. So I'm typically on the water, dragon boating 3 days a week. I've not been on a boat since the middle of March. Yes, I've run every day. I've lifted weights, but it's not the same as being in a boat doing that type of motion. So if I get back in the boat, my first day back at practice thinking I'm just going to go all out and bang out the same type of practice I did 2 months ago. Even though I've been running and doing other things, I'm going to hurt myself. So if you are someone that is, I'm pretty active, I've done some things at home, I can't wait to get back to this, be kind to your body, because even if you've been doing other things, your body may not respond to what you used to do 2 months ago. And my husband is at work, so I can throw him under the bus. He is currently nursing a shoulder injury for doing just that. So don't be like him and listen. But with regards to going back to work, we actually have 11 different offices across the country, and I'm sure several of you are having these conversations as well. Our employees have, for the most part, been working from home the whole time. We do have people that go out into the field. Again, they're the ones that are doing poles and laying, our folks don't typically lay the lines, but out west we do have construction teams that they've had to, figure out how to work together and get things done. I have field engineers that are out in the field to make sure they've been building up connectivity and things like that. So we've been working all that time to make sure that they have the right equipment to be out in the field. But if you were to walk into any of our offices, and I'm sure that some of you might have the same situation, we're like sardines with regards to our desk setups. So as I'm sure as you are doing so as well, I truly have some managers that are saying, well, they've always been in the office, they just need to get back there. And I'm like, okay, let's do this smartly. So I'm sure everyone's going through the same thing with regards to, do we need to put arrows down on the floor to have a traffic flow? Because my office is a giant, it's a figure 8 of cubes and boxed areas where people sit together in, sharing areas. And, to get into any of our restrooms, half the time we're lucky we don't smack one another with the door as it is, and we're in one another's faces. Our break room is the same. So literally my office is an old Raymore and Flanagan that was made into an office building. So it's not, it's not the most, conducive in terms of desk space. So if you're wondering what to do, and if you are already going back into the office, I'm sure we'll have some time for some conversation at the end. I'm sure the rest of the folks on the call would love to hear what you're doing. But we are considering, okay, if teams truly need to see one another, and in some cases, we're still working, but it's harder because we have giant screens and maps that we use when we're laying out different copper fiber and things like that. It's really hard to do that over Zoom chat. Then we're mapping out, okay, how are we going to set up the conference room so that people can still see the maps and have conversation and not be on top of one another? Is it that certain teams come in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and other teams come in Tuesday, Thursday, and then we rotate? We're looking at the setup of our break room. Not that I want everyone to have to sit at their desks to eat, but we have 90 people in our office and a break room that seats like 10. So trying to figure out how we're going to be respectful of people's, I want to take lunch at noon. Well, we all 90 can't be in the kitchen at the same time. So really mapping out some plans for all of our offices so that people feel comfortable coming into work. And I'm sure everyone's dealing with, I need hand sanitizer. Do I need masks? How are we going to get our offices cleaned? As you're as eager as you might be to go into the office, and there might be some of your employees that are like, get out of the way, I want to be first. I'm good. I don't struggle with this at all. You may have just as many employees that don't feel comfortable even leaving their homes yet. And now you want them to come to the office. So it's really taking a look at those positions that really need to be in the office truly in order to function the right way. And maybe you've been kind of muddling through this whole time, and focusing on those first and how those people will feel healthy and safe coming into the office. And then trickling in those that, candidly, I support 11 offices around the country. I work in the office in Jacksonville, but do I really need to be there every single day? Or am I creating more stress by being one more person that doesn't need to be there? And really taking through some of those steps and having a plan for that person that says, I'm not coming in, you can't make me, and how we're going to answer those questions. You don't want to say, fine, you're not coming in, you're fired. is that what you want to do? And being willing to accommodate, especially since there's so much unknown. Depending on what news station you turn on, there's a different story every minute of the day. And that creates a lot of uncertainty. And, you know, as HR folks know, we often live in the gray, and really figuring out how we can balance business need as well as being empathetic to people that truly are concerned for their health and safety.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now,
The things from an HR perspective that's unrelated really to mind, body, soul, but really does touch on that for us is that I think it's going to be almost indefensible for companies to say that you have to work in the office. Today, once we've demonstrated the ability to do so much remotely, think about OSHA regulations as it applies to a workplace that's potentially lethal to some people. It's going to be really an uncharted territory for the next year, maybe, or two, as we run into those situations where people say, I'm not going to the office. And if you do fire them, you know, what are the grounds? So it's going to be very interesting this is going to be very interesting from an HR perspective for the next year, aside from the public health aspect of it.
so with that, I'm going to transition. I should have said this at the beginning. But for all of you, and hopefully some of you that are not, your cameras are not on, maybe you will turn, if you have pants on, okay? So this is a requirement. We want to see you. Kim mentioned about being goofy, and this is all about moving and making sure that we stay, you know, engaged and active. So join me. There we go. I see a few. Thank you so much, everybody that is putting their cameras on. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, here we go. We're going to put some music on, and I want you to please move with me. Come on. Woo! Hands up, hands up. Woo! And oh, I love it, Kim. You're doing it up there. Heather, thank you. Woo! Yeah, when you bring the shoulders back, And that's really good. Look at these. Okay. Some of you are doing this, so bring your knees up. Let's get your legs moving also. And the other way. One more. Side to side. All right. Kudos to all of you. Thank you. Don't you feel re-energized? Woo! Yes, I do. Thank you for joining me on that. I appreciate it. Okay, so one last piece here. We have all been working from home, and we're probably, as we, you know, Kim and Keith said, we're going to probably continue to work from home. So how do we make our space at home? I'm going to hope if I can get a picture, but I mean, right now I'm at a standing desk, but I am in my office today. So part of all of this is making your work environment also work. And initially, I think for most of us, we thought, okay, well, this is going to last a week, two, and now it's going on for a lot longer, and who knows. So how can we do around our workspace or make our routines workable? Kim.
So thankfully, I was expecting this only to last for a week, to be honest. When I left the office, I said, I'll see you next week when I saw my boss, but I did steal my extra monitor before I left. So I'm happy I did that. So at least I have dual screens. But I do have a room in our home that I was able to set up in. So at least I have some space. I can set up my computer. I have my laptop. I have my notebook. And I've given myself some room. Now, granted, I mentioned earlier that my husband goes to work most days. There are some days he works from home. So now there's two of us and one desk. So we've agreed to share. So we have a dining room table. It's not ideal. We will take turns. Whoever has the most meetings and needs the quieter space wins. And really what we try to do is, even if one of us is set up in the dining room, we shut it down. I mean, it's really easy. Like I would leave work and my computer would just stay on and walk away. And then you're tempted to go back and check it later. So we've agreed that when we're done, we're shutting it down, turn it off, close the laptop and walk away. Because if you're anything like me, you know, I mean, like 8 o'clock and you're like, I'm just going to check one more email. And I started at 7 this morning and really, I had some dinner, but now I'm back at my desk again because, you know, I'm home and I should just keep working. I'm very guilty of that. And then my brain never turns off. And, you know, my husband looks at, and my husband's the same way. So we're enablers. We enable one another. And suddenly we're both cranky because we realize we've worked. Even if it's taking, you know, walking away, we keep going back to work and we never get a chance to shut it down. Right. So I realize that not everyone has all kinds of extra space in their house. You know, as I mentioned, my husband and I don't have children, so we have that extra bedroom. Yay, it's an office. So if you're trying to find workspace with your a spouse or a significant other and children and dogs and cats and trying to find a place to work, you know, make a promise to yourself that, okay, I've set my space up for the day. Here's my space. Here's the kids' space if they're doing homeschooling and trying to do their school, and have that agreement that you're going to walk away at the end. But that at the same point, here's your workspace. You know, when you sit down in that chair, it's time for work. And when you get up, you're done and walk away. It's easy for me to do that at work. When I have to leave, I have to leave. And I will, unless there's something urgent going on, I will leave my laptop at work. Otherwise, I will work when I get home. Well, now that I'm here and there's nowhere else to go, it's really easy to fall into that trap. And when people know that you'll work 24 hours a day, then they suddenly expect 24 hours a day. And I've also learned that the hard way. So if you haven't set those boundaries where you want family time, or even if you live by yourself, you still deserve some time to yourself to do what you would like to do. Find a way to set those boundaries for yourself as well.
Keith, how are you making it work from home?
Yeah, well, certainly those things. I think setting the work time boundaries are important. And in fact, I'll just start there. That's always been a problem for me. In fact, years ago, I had a really demanding job and I was kind of young and I was struggling with it. I couldn't sleep very well. And I was talking to my boss about it and he said, you're a list maker, aren't you? And I said, yeah. He says, okay, so what you do is at the end of the day, update your to-do list at the end of the day. Okay. He said, then what do you do now? He says, I said, oh, well, I take my briefcase home and then, yeah, I've got the, he says, so update your to-do list at the end of the day. Make it the last thing you do. And then physically take the to-do list and turn it upside down on your desk and leave it there and walk away and go home. Don't take it with you. And it's amazing how, you know, that's a mental trick. But it's amazing how mental tricks affect our mentality. And that's worked for me for years. And every once in a while, I have to restart doing that to set those limits. And I've noticed that working from home, work and home bleed together if I'm not careful. So I did finally set a time and say, at that time, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to turn off my email. And my office is separate, so I'm just going to go to the rest of the house, but I'm going to be completely removed as if I was traveling from my office to home. And that is important to have that distinction and that separation. On a more physical level, you know, I think it's important to be comfortable at work. And I think the most important part about that is your chair. So I'm a big, you know, if you know me and you've sat in my chair at any of my offices, you know, I have some expensive chairs and I really believe, you know, I may not have tires on my car, but I've got a great chair. I think chairs are important, but you know what can be the best chair is a stability ball.
Yeah.
So if you have a big stability ball from the gym, oftentimes if you blow that up enough, you can really use that as a great chair, and it's strengthening your core and improving your posture while you're sitting and working, even if you don't do it all day. A lot of people will do that for a couple hours and then move back to a chair. So those kinds of things, indulge yourself, pamper yourself. Don't be afraid to spend money on a good chair or go get a stability ball or both. The other thing is I really believe in having a great headset. It's again, so much of our energy goes out through our ears and and our voice. And if you don't have a good headset, it's, I think, more strenuous. So a good noise canceling headset, it does wonders for your ability to work for sustained periods and it not drain you of energy. I think that's it.
Well, a little not as sophisticated as some of the things, although the ball actually, Keith, I'm going to use that because I do have one at home and I have not used it. But I have a standing desk here, and I don't have one at home. And so after trying a few things, and some of you, may be thinking you need the expensive standing desk at home, and if you can, go at it. But I literally found a trash can that worked just right. I put it on top of the desk and then the trash can and then my computer, and I can work, and then I can take it away, sit down. And so that has kind of worked for me. And so for some of you that are thinking, oh my God, I'm missing my standing desk, just experiment with other things. And that just, again, it's gonna help you change the routine and invigorate you. We're kind of coming to the end of this. There are going to be some resources that I think, as I was preparing for this, I found some articles online that I thought would be useful. So I think we're going to send those your way. We would love to hear from you. I know Natasha's going to send a survey out, Natasha or Heather, but you will get a survey. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you would like to, do more of. I mean, this is all for you. I think the series came out because of the SHRM board hearing what you need and the times that we're going through. So we would love to hear what you think. Give us some ideas. One of the things that you may get, and I was talking to my mom about this. I said, my mom, I'm looking for articles, we're going to be doing this, and I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about for an hour, and, body, mind, soul. And she's like, Giselle, you wrote this article in 2015 when I was the president of the Jacksonville Bar Association. And she said to me, and I didn't know this, I use it all the time when I need a little, ideas on some pick-me-up. So I went looking for this thing, and I was like, oh my God, this is probably as applicable today as it was then. 10 ways to reboot your life. And this was, again, in 2015 and beyond. I'm just going to read you the headlines, but again, we'll send this your way. Accept change, embrace grit, create white space in your day, which both Keith and Kim mentioned. Practice the Pomodoro technique. Some of you may know that's the 80-20 or block, work for 45 minutes, take a break, work again, take a break. Be generous and grateful. Limit your sugar intake. Exercise daily. Meditate. Reprogram your biocomputer. And respect your sleep time. So with that, this is kind of the end of our presentation. Take action, one step at a time. Stay healthy of mind and body. Thank you all for participating. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Natasha, Keith, Kim. It's always a pleasure. It's been a privilege to do this. Thank you for being there, participating, and having fun with me.
Thank you, Giselle. This has been fantastic. I really appreciate you taking this on and moderating this panel for us. Keith, Kim, thank you so much for your insight. I've taken some good notes. I'm going to add some things to my daily routine. So thank you all very much. And thank you all for participating with us today. As Giselle was saying, you will receive those resources. We'll send those out. We're also going to be sending out a survey to everyone. So once you complete your survey, we will send you your certifications. Please bear with us on that. HRCI is a little backed up right now with everything that they've got going on. So we're still waiting on that certification number, but we'll get that to you as soon as we possibly can. With regard to our 50/50 raffle, I want to congratulate Donna Ray. We raised $55 today, which is fantastic. Yay. So Donna's going to be getting a $27.50 Amazon gift card, and the remaining funds are going to go to the SHRM Foundation. So thank you so much for everyone who participated in that. Obviously, knowing that we are still kind of sheltering in place at home, we wanted to continue our virtual series, and we've got 4 upcoming sessions that we're going to be bringing to you. One on May 13th with Jackson Lewis. It's a COVID-19 return to work webinar. So more information will be coming out in our e-blast tomorrow on that. Don't forget the 3rd of our Mind, Body, and Soul series, Mindfulness in the Workplace, is going to take place 2 weeks from today on May the 21st. So if you haven't registered, please go ahead and do that. All of this will be on our website as well. June 4th is our next regularly scheduled chapter meeting, and we're going to be partnering with ADP, who's going to be hosting a Reimagine Your Benefits webinar as well. And then on June 10th, we're excited that Karen Nutter is going to partner with us as well, and she's going to be hosting A Healthy Response Begins With You. So lots of good content that's coming out in the coming weeks to kind of keep you guys going. Don't forget, if you haven't joined us on social media, please go ahead and like our pages, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and don't forget hashtag SHRM Jacks. And again, thank you to Marks Gray, our sponsor today. We are super excited to be partnering with you on this. Gabby, Erica, thank you for all of the technological aspects of keeping us going today.
And Ellen has been behind the scenes. So Erica, Ellen, Gabby, who was in there somewhere, thank you all, because I could not, this is not my area. Give me immigration law.
We are working on our online content fast and furiously, trying to figure out what we're going to do. This is now the new normal, and probably going to be the way that we're going to be, bringing some of this to our members, in the coming weeks and months. And so right now we are just really grateful for our partnerships with you, Giselle, and Marks Gray, and others who are able to do this for us, so that we can continue to bring this great content to our members. So with that, I'm going to give you guys 12 minutes back today. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.